Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Steve Torso. I'm the founder of Wholesale Investor. Apologies for my nasally voice today. So thanks to my 2-year-old transferring a cold to me. So firstly, as I said, I want to say a big thank you for joining this session. Typically at the end of each year, I like to sort of host one of these sessions or sort of do a video talking about sort of what we've got coming up going forward in the year ahead. And one of the things we've worked really hard to do over the last couple of years is give sort of our subscribers more of an opportunity to engage with us at a range of different levels. And, in 2024, we're really going to be taking that to a whole new level. So during this presentation today, feel free to ask any questions as we're going through it. And then likewise, feel free to ask any questions at the end of the actual session. We should go for about somewhere between sort of 30 to 45 minutes, something like that. And then I'm happy to answer questions for, as long as sort of people want to ask any questions about sort of what we're doing and what we're up to and so forth. And then also, if you're watching the recording of this, I'm going to be sending out a follow-up email, which will have my details on it. So basically, all you'll need to do is just simply reply. And then, set up a time and we can go through any questions that you may have. Okay, so the first part is I think if you're sort of new to the wholesale investor ecosystem, you may not be sort of aware of our journey to date, but effectively, Wholesale Investor started out as a magazine in 2008. We launched in October 2008, which said, I'll never forget that as a month, watching the Dow Jones dropping 18% and then us launching. For the first 4 years of our life, we actually started out as a magazine. And then effectively what we did in 2013, we moved to an online to offline model. So what that means, we generate interest online for our clients, and then we would move them, and then we would invite them to our offline, our in-person activities and events and so forth. Then in 2014, we started taking that overseas because we thought there was an opportunity to basically, create investor interest for our clients overseas. And so we started taking companies to New Zealand. Whilst no one counts New Zealand as overseas, we did at that time because it was our first sort of international destination. And then we quickly followed with Singapore, Hong Kong, UK, etc. And now we've done stuff in Korea, we've done stuff in the US, etc. So 2018 was probably the most hectic year for me, where we did 48 showcase events across 7 different countries. I almost killed myself that year with that sort of schedule, as you can imagine, nearly doing 1 showcase event per week. And then that's when we really start thinking about, okay, what does Wholesale Investor look like going forward? And I find like any company, typically you're reinventing who you are and progressing to the next model. So typically every sort of 5 years. And I suppose that's really sort of fits well with us now, and as far as the direction that we're going as a company. And 2019, we started building the CRIISP platform. And the whole idea was to basically centralize and streamline the way in which deal making and communications was actually done. And then 2020, we had to pivot. Obviously, we got very used to sort of doing our events, and then we were building the platform. But of course, then we had to go all in on the online aspect because there was no capability to do in-person events. And so 2020, 2021, we invested heavily into the online side. And then effectively, 2022, you had the pullback on the innovation side. So it's been a very turbulent year for for innovation in general for the last sort of 4 years. And it's funny how it's gone, through the COVID, then it was obviously all the sort of stimulus money and then the pullback, etc. And from our side, we've just kept on innovating and kept on progressing the model as we've actually gone as part of that actual journey. So to give you now a bit of a snapshot where we sit as a business, we've got a 3-sided ecosystem which we've built over those 15 years. We've done somewhere around the sort of 200 plus events in building that actual ecosystem. People always wonder how we've got such an engaged ecosystem. That is part of the reason. It's just simply we give people the opportunity to engage in a variety of different ways, whether it be online or in person, etc. Our brand is recognized across 3 different countries, across Australia, the UK, and also Singapore. And that's across investors, industry, and also obviously the CEOs as well. Our software solution, which I'll talk more about lately. And then we're fortunate enough now where, we've had 10 of our clients go on to achieve unicorn status. And I think it's now like 73 exits in total we've had out of our client list. And from what I understand, there's another one coming up for our clients in the next sort of couple of weeks, which is also pretty exciting. So, we're fortunate enough to have a strong foundation there from a brand perspective and from a presence perspective in a lot of different ways. And for me personally, I'm always fascinated by who is actually in our ecosystem and looking at our opportunities. And we're at the point now where, we have family offices coming on as clients. We have, new VC funds as clients, listed companies, etc. And that sort of speaks to the direction that we're going, as a business. So to understand our sort of product structure at the moment, to give you an idea, our current product offering when we work with companies, it ranges from 10K to 28K. And depending on what people are looking to do, there's a bunch of, there's 5 core elements as to what that actually is included in our product offering for the clients that we work with. By the way, welcome to those that are still coming on. So obviously our CRIISP Capital HQ, so I'll talk about that in a second, but CRIISP will be rebranded to Capital HQ. And that's effectively, and I call it our capital engagement software. So for me, a lot of people position us as a capital raising platform. I've done my best to move ourselves away from that as a positioning. We provide media solutions for companies, as you see at our CEO interview series that we actually do. We provide promotional solutions, as you would have seen from our emails. Obviously, the conferences and event participation across Australia, Singapore, and also the UK. And then the last one, which very few people know, is that we provide a lot of access to capital raising education, because if you think about this entire ecosystem, pretty much capital raising education is really focused around create pitch deck, email VCs and angels, and then wait for money to come back in. And it's obviously a lot more nuanced than that. And I know the majority of you that are on this actual session will be very well aware of how nuanced the area of actual capital raising is. But this makes up the 5 core elements of what we do from a product perspective, and also makes us quite unique, because there's very few that are providing all those different elements actually combined. And I was going to say the best part about that is that's subscription based. So what is most unique about us is we're an enabler. We're happy to work with other platforms. We're happy to work with other advisors, because really we are an enabler from our subscription perspective. And, to give you some sort of perspective, in total now, our distribution is up around the sort of 50K mark. Now, that also, obviously we've got our investor database, which is around the sort of 35,000 mark. And then we also do have a separate list of access to CEOs and founders, etc., which is around about the 15,000 mark, to give you an idea. The CRIISP ecosystem now sitting inside the platform is 23,000. Right, which is really important, because as you know, we had a big breakthrough sort of earlier this year, and our brand presence is across 3 different countries, and you'll see how we want to expand that sort of going forward. So I'm going to mention these 2 next slides is talking about the trends that we're seeing. And the reason I sort of show these slides is because it really does align with the direction that we're taking as a company and the opportunities we actually want to create with our ecosystem. So the first one is the Great Succession. There will be a lot of businesses going through a succession process over the next sort of 10 years, and that does create an opportunity in this space. And now you add to that the expansion of the private markets area. Those 2 combinations mean that, one of the biggest opportunities, and it's funny how much money goes into it and how people sort of set up just to focus on just ASX listed companies, when really, the area of succession and also the expansion of private markets is far bigger from an opportunity perspective for a company like us. And I said, most people know us for our sort of innovative, venture style companies. And you'll see over the next sort of 12 to 24 months, and you're actually already seeing it on the platform, we will start to provide a lot more sort of variety of opportunities. And then the last one is the rise of non-bank lending. And you've seen that late in the last year, where we've got a range of different sort of private credit opportunities, business credit opportunity, industrial property credit, residential credit, etc. And that just goes to speak to the opportunity that's going to be in the marketplace going forward, as more and more high net worths or family offices move into this space. And, there's more and more providers or businesses looking to facilitate, non-bank lending, practices and commercial activities. So, to us, these all become opportunities for Wholesale Investor going forward. Now, on my fund side, the innovation side, I've mentioned these before. I assume all of you would have been on some of my different sessions before, so I won't go into all of these, but let's just say the area of software, AI, low code, no code, the Bitcoin halving, all the different things around what's happening with climate tech, life science, energy storage, everything, advanced manufacturing, the future of agri-tech, future of food, all that stuff is super exciting to me. The future of medicine. This is the stuff that, I am personally passionate about, and I see massive opportunities in the next 5 years. And whenever, and I suppose we all know that whenever you see depressed markets, for a period like we have across the last sort of 18 months, typically that when it comes out, there's a substantial rise that goes along with it. So we want to make sure that we're well positioned and that we provide opportunities for our ecosystem around that area, whether it be from the investment side, revenue opportunities, or just general commercial opportunities as well. So now for us in sort of 2024, by the way, welcome everyone that keeps on joining. I didn't do my usual, where's everyone joining from? That would be very interesting for everyone to know where everyone's actually joining from. I know looking at the list, there's actually quite a few different countries represented in this, which is really good to see. So 2024 and beyond for us. So the first one I'll mention is that we're going to be really leaning into our strength of being a marketplace. And as part of that, and I just found a typo, we're going to be creating opportunities for investors, CEOs, and also industry participants. So that will be a very strong element for us. Where, for the last sort of couple of years, I really tried to position WI as a B2B sort of subscription play, but realizing how, our ecosystem works, I see for us the real great strength is for us to really lean into the marketplace opportunity that represents for WI. Facilitating in-person activities, whether it be through our hosted events or through channel partner hosted events, our conferences, the showcasing events and networking events. Previously, I used to be shy about that because I knew investors looking at our business didn't really get excited about the events part, but I just realized how fundamental and core it is to this entire space. As much as we invest into software and so forth, there's just something special about the in-person activities that really can make a difference in the relationship building, the network effect, and so forth that we can create as a company. And then the last one is our IP. We really recognize now the IP, the unique IP that we've created, both in our software, in building an ecosystem, in our business systems, and also in our processes. So we will be creating a range of different opportunities, around that. And so, it said for us, these are the three key areas which we will be leaning into, I said, as a company. And then as part of that, one of the first steps that we'll be doing, and this will take place early next year, is we'll be rebranding CRIISP to Capital HQ. Now, why that's so important for us is because no one actually understands what CRIISP means, right? It actually stands for, it doesn't matter. So Capital HQ is effectively, you just hear it and then you understand exactly what it is. So we will be rebranding that, and then we'll be providing a range of different online solutions, online only solutions across a bunch of different verticals as we rebrand to that. So you'll see over the next 12 months, we will go very, very heavy on the promotion of Capital HQ, more so than Wholesale Investor itself. As I said, there's a range of different reasons for that. Now, as part of what we'll be doing is we'll be really highlighting the fact that what we have built is a world-class solution, and it's got 6 elements that I have not seen in any other software solution globally. That is, firstly, our own proprietary investor database. Secondly, the intelligent deal rooms, right? Because as I say to everyone, accessing data is just no longer enough. Having global investor access, our integration that we've done with Crunchbase, the conference software that we've actually built and integrated into the actual platform, which means that whether it be partners or whether it be us, we can run online showcases, we can run offline showcases, or we can actually run hybrids, and everything is perfectly integrated. the two-way AI ML driven matchmaking. So investors seeing the most relevant deals for them and companies seeing the most relevant investors for them is super important. And then the last one being the investor search functionality. So a lot of people don't realize is that you can literally sit there, and if you're a renewable energy tech business, you can actually just sit there and target, for example, you can put in renewable energy tech and you can target UK investors that have got an interest in that area. And then you can connect directly. And then when they accept, you can communicate with it. So we copied the UI UX of LinkedIn for that as a process. So there have been some of the key things that we've done from a software solution that really make what we've built quite unique. So now that we've got that as a foundation, now is the time for us to go and actually export that globally, to its full potential. And the way we want to do that is across a couple of different areas. Firstly, to understand that whilst most people know us for our sort of venture and angel related opportunities, the reality is, we do work with a lot of property companies. You would have seen a lot of credit and debt opportunities. You would have seen a lot of yield-based opportunities over the next 2 years. As we go through the crypto boom cycle, effectively you'll see a lot more digital asset opportunities. In fact, when the AFR held their crypto summit, pretty much 60% of the speakers were all either clients of WI or previous clients of WI. And then the other area that I'm passionate about is the area of impact. We do a lot of stuff behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know about. And it's stuff that just because we're passionate about, we tend to do things sort of privately and support a whole bunch of different areas. So we want to make that sort of a bit more prominent in how we sort of operate, as a business going forward. And so to combine that in building a global solution and then opening up the private markets area completely, that becomes then really important about how we work with companies, because I find in working with founders, often they take a long time to do very simple tasks. So for example, when we're working with a lot of clients in setting up their deal rooms, often companies can take weeks or months to set up their deal room. And we've now got things to the point where we've created a bunch of sort of, IP around different prompts and different structures where we can now assist companies. And this is what we're going to be building into the actual software, where we can actually help companies create their deal room within seconds and then be connecting with investors in minutes. And that's really the ideal thing that we want to get to, because when you're dealing with founders, speed is everything. So if you can imagine, where we want to get to from a product perspective is we can receive the URL, a company's website, we can receive their pitch deck, and we can receive their LinkedIn company page. And from that, we can create 80% of their deal room, right? Nearly 90%. But more than that, we can create a bunch of different capital raising, call it a capital raising pack, create a bunch of different material they can utilize for their own capital raising. Now, the reason why that's so important is because what we can create in seconds, through what we've learned in our own IP and our own processes, effectively, often it can take companies, I said, weeks and months to pull all this stuff together, right? And often when we do this, we can do it in a way which is actually much better than what they would have done themselves, right? Because we work with a lot of technical businesses, a lot of technical founders, and quite often they actually struggle to articulate, what they do. So that's what we're building from the product perspective. Now, even more than that, we're going to be in the online options, in the software-based solutions. We're going to be providing a whole bunch of different flexibility in how the actual companies can work with us. And we got some feedback from companies, sometimes in the way in which they work. Basically the way sometimes companies work is sometimes they have a perspective about how long they think their capital raising will take. Now, look, for the last few years, we've been really educating companies that they should be in an always on state. Now, just because we educate on that doesn't mean that everyone takes that approach. So going forward on our online solutions, we'll be providing 3, 6, and 12 months options in how they can utilize Capital HQ. As part of those options, they'll be able to participate in an online investor showcase. And also they'll now get options where they can go into stealth mode, where someone may not be actively raising, where all they may want to be doing is just engaging with their potential investors via their investor relations, or also via just, effectively investor engagement in general. So we'll be providing that as a different option with Capital HQ going forward. That's really important. As I said, that product is a global solution to a continuing problem with companies where they're seeking to raise capital and they need flexibility in how they actually approach that capital raising. And they still also require investor access, and they still require visibility for what they're doing. So we'll be uniquely positioned to do that, and we can really leverage off both our conference software and also the structure and framework that we've built from a software perspective to do that. So our timeline for what we're going to be doing over the next sort of 12 months. So the first stage to kick off next year, we'll be launching Capital HQ. Then after that, and I'll get into this in more detail, we're actually going to be doing a pilot with Fractional Advisory. Now, we ourselves are not going to be doing advisory. We're going to be working with some advisors that we know, like, trust, respect, etc. We'll be building into the software generative AI, a generative AI aspect, like I showed you before, and also a scaled outreach execution aspect. So that makes it easier for companies to onboard within seconds and then be connecting with investors within minutes. We'll be launching Flow Connect, which I'll explain in a second, and then also providing the access to potential acquisition opportunities, whether it be businesses or IP as actually part of it. So Flow Connect will be a new product for us that we're going to be creating an MVP for. This product is effectively designed for investment bankers, fund managers, and corporate finance. And it's coming out of it actually got suggested to me by an investment banker that I've known for quite some time in Singapore, where one of the biggest gray areas in this space is that for most fund managers, 99% of the meetings that they'll take will ultimately end up being a waste of time. So what we're doing is we're creating a product to help them potentially monetize their flow. So that is the opportunities that they meet with that they can't mandate, they can't invest into, and they actually can't do anything with. So we'll be creating a seamless and streamlined process for them to refer them into our product, and then likewise to connect with other investment bankers and potential investors for those actual transactions. So in a simple way, for an easy referral, they will be able to monetize their flow, which they haven't been able to do before. So that'll be quite a unique product that we'll be bringing to the ecosystem, and something that I'm excited about because there's obviously a massive sort of network effect opportunity that can come with that type of product. The next one, this will be a pilot from our side. When you're building a business, you go through all sorts of ups and downs, and typically it's very hard to get advice from people that, you get typically when people, you got your shareholders, your board and so forth, but sometimes you need an advisor, or you need someone who's your sort of sounding board, your trusted advisor, and who's not connected to either. And effectively, they're just the person that's on your side, giving you guidance through your different sort of trials and tribulations as you go through. So the reason for this is the area of fractional has become very popular, whether it be fractional executives or we utilize a fractional sales leader for our business. And the fractional advisory marketplace, we're creating an opportunity where there'll be 3 different tiers. And effectively, we'll be partnering with, as I said, a bunch of different, effectively a range of advisors that we already know, like trust, respect, etc. And we'll be providing that on a subscription basis, giving companies the opportunity to access that on a subscription basis. Now, the important thing about this is there's no strings attached. There's no success fees attached to it. There's no need for a capital raising mandate to be attached to it or anything like that. It is simply the advisor is the trusted person inside your corner. So it's very founder-centric, and there'll be different tiers available for companies depending on where they're at and what their actual requirements are. But the outcome that we want is, I said, people always try and come to us for advice. We put out a lot of content, but there's always nuances in different companies. So, we just want to give access to people that can really make a difference when companies, when they actually need it, and sort of be by their side in the process, but not be tied to trying to get a mandate fee or anything like that. So there'll be a new model that you'll start to see us sort of roll out sort of early next year. I said, depending on how the pilot goes, if the pilot is successful, then we'll be very proactive in promoting across Australia, Singapore, and also the UK. So that's the fractional advisory. Now, as I mentioned to you, the other vertical, which we'll be very proactive in next year, is acquisition opportunities. Now, I'm not talking about a local fish and chip shop, obviously. There's what I found is there's a lot of businesses, that are open to the idea of actually being acquired. Sometimes they come to us for a capital raise, but also they're open to the idea of being acquired. Now that could be the business or it could be IP within the business. So we want to basically, we will be creating that as an opportunity for companies going forward. So that fulfills that aspect of the private markets where not only can we assist companies on the capital raising side, but also if they're going to an acquisition, investors will know, investors or corporate investors or even corporates will know to come to us, or business development sit inside corporates will know that there are potential opportunities that can be acquired sitting inside WI. So that's really important for us. And obviously for me, what's unique about what we do is if you speak to anyone that's in the businesses for sale area, getting access to information is the absolute pain in the butt. So we obviously streamline and simplify that access to communications, access to information for them, and make it a much more professional approach than what they're doing now. It is actually, if you know, what's really funny about the acquisition area, you've either got business brokers down this end or you've got investment bankers up this side. We want to own that sort of middle space where there's lots of great opportunities, but they're just not connecting with each other because there's no sort of formal marketplace for them to go to. And we think we're sort of well positioned to be able to do that. So on the revenue creation side, you would have seen over the last sort of 6 months, last sort of 5 to 6 months, we've been mentioning about the sort of channel partner opportunities with WI. We will be expanding that to include master license opportunities for different countries. And also we'll be creating a specific referral channel partner opportunity as well, because we found a lot of people, whilst we already have people sort of come on for the channel partner side, there was other people that just want to refer to us. And in fact, last month alone, we had 85% of our revenue, which was either renewals or referrals from people. And look, as a business, it's crazy how many referrals we get day in and day out into the company. So we want to actually formalize that and create it as a revenue opportunity for people. So, and as part of that, obviously we're creating we'll have a bunch of different resources for those partners, and also providing exclusive training for that, and creating just additional layers of revenue opportunity. But ultimately, the way I see things now, previously WI was very one-dimensional in that we would work with companies that were looking to raise capital, right, or profile to investors. Now, as a business, as I said, we are moving to a more marketplace model. We're creating more ways for the marketplace to actually generate revenue from what we do, and also create new ways in which the actual ecosystem can extract value from what we do as well. So you'll start to see more of that come through those 3 different areas. Now, with the different opportunities, effectively a country master license, they'll have the opportunity to generate between 50 to 80% margins, depending on which tier they choose. Current channel partners can generate anywhere between 25 to 50% margins from the distribution of our products. And then referring channel partners can generate between 10 to 15% from referring, basically just simply introducing us to companies that they meet on a day-to-day basis. So I said, very straightforward in how we actually work with companies, and said we will be expanding that significantly over the next 12 months. And not only just doing that in Australia, but obviously Australia, Singapore, UK, and then obviously in global markets as well. And so it's interesting how we've had different approaches from countries in Europe and in Asia around these different areas. So, said for us, we're very focused on how do we help other people generate revenue or extract value from what we do outside of that sort of what we're known for, previously. From the investment opportunity side, there's two different investment opportunities that will come up in 2024. The first one will be us. So we achieved some significant milestones this year, and effectively one of the big things that we had to do was, we didn't, like everyone else, we scaled up in sort of 2020, 2021, and then effectively scaled back in sort of 2022. So we worked really hard on getting the business to a certain point and I'll share that more sort of when I actually do the session sort of earlier next year. So we've got the business to some key milestones this year. And now the next step for us is really focused around, upgrading the platform in some key areas that we want to, just from a UX perspective, completing the Capital HQ product, and also the vertical offerings that we'll be rolling out, and then scaling globally. Now, the really nice part about the way we'll look to scale globally this time, it will be through what I highlighted in my last slide. It will be through basically the channel partner, the master license, and also the referring channel partner opportunity. Whereas previously, for example, when we went to the UK, we invested a substantial amount of money to actually do that. And we realized it's just not sustainable for us in doing it that way. So hence why our scale will be more focused around country master licenses, channel partners, and referring channel partners, as well as scaling of our online solutions. So that'll be the three focuses of when we do a capital raise next year. That will be the three focuses, and I'll be announcing that around about sort of mid-January. The other one is the H&WI ANZ fund. I have been quiet about this for the last sort of 18 months, just given the sort of downturn in innovation. Basically, we've already raised, out of the 10 million, we've already raised sort of 2.5 million. There's already 2.5 million in the fund for this. There's already been investments going into it. Effectively, we did a partnership with H&WI, and effectively with that partnership, we utilized their IP, how they've actually, effectively, the way they did it was they analyzed 600,000 venture transactions, and they had a whole bunch of, different, and they utilized their AI to basically, model what different sort of constructed portfolios in the venture space. And then from that, they come up with an ideal model in how they would actually go about investing into the venture space, where you could actually build a venture portfolio with risk mitigated returns. So effectively, we've already been making investments in that. So early next year, I'll be also doing some information sessions on the H&WI ANZ fund and giving some high level of some of the companies that we've already invested into as actually part of that. So there'll be an opportunity for investors to participate in that as well. From an upcoming events perspective, this is probably more for the founders. The biggest event we do each year is Emergence. And this year, for the first time since 2019, we'll be actually hosting Emergence across Australia, Singapore, and also London. So yeah, we'll be hosting across Sydney, Singapore, and London, effectively from end of February, and the London one will be early May that we'll be actually hosting it. So Singapore will be in mid-March. And then that will be a massive, for us to host our flagship conference across 3 cities is a massive undertaking, but it's also part of our strategy in that this year, last year was a breakthrough year for us in several different ways, several different areas. This is a massive coming out party for us because all these events will actually be streamlined online as well. And we'll also be hosting a lot more online activities in the lead up and as part of these actual events. So for companies that are actually raising capital or looking to test their potential in different markets, this is the perfect platform to do that, because we'll be inviting basically the investment innovation ecosystem all comes to Emergence. It's one of those events, I explain to everyone, I don't understand why. I do the exact same things as what I do for other events, but it ends up having 3 to 4 times the attendees. So Emergence is something which is very special for us because of who it attracts. So we'll be hosting that next year. And for companies that are either raising capital, looking just to basically get momentum with investors in the first half of next year, that is the perfect platform to actually do that. So in summary, the opportunities sort of with us going forward in 2024 for founders, obviously we've got a whole bunch of material, whether it be capital raising education, but it's also really what founders will be after is the opportunity to showcase their business at Emergence. Especially for the first half of the year. As I said, Emergence is so unique in that the 2-day conference, it literally can be worth months of, investor engagement for you because of how many people you can actually meet at that event. I said, I've seen it at events where people walk away with 50 registrations of interest. And I said, it's just something which is unique that I'm proud of as far as how we've been able to set that up. For investors, we've got the opportunity to participate in Wholesale Investor as a company. So we'll be doing a raise early next year. And then also in the H&WI ANZ fund. So if you like more of a fund approach, that could be very much relevant to you. And then if you're an entrepreneur or a professional service provider or an advisor, we've got the opportunities around sort of the channel partner or the referral partner opportunity. And then there may be some of you that want to sort of stick your hand up to be as part of the pilot for the Fractional Advisory Program. As I said, everything we think about is how to basically solve some of the grey area problems in this space, whether it be the streamlining, simplifying of capital raising, whether it be the content related for the companies. Effectively, the space is filled with friction, and we endlessly think about how we can actually solve that from a company's perspective. So, there's a range of different opportunities in how you can actually engage with us going forward over the next 12 months, and how you can actually contact. You can contact me via my email, stevetorso@wholesale-investor.com.au. Obviously, you can engage with us on Twitter, on LinkedIn. You can add me on LinkedIn. You've got our company website. So what I'll be doing post this is I'll be sending out an email to everyone. And effectively, if you want to have a catch up with me, just to discuss any of these areas for you, whether it be you'd like to look at participating in Emergence, whether you want to chat about our Wholesale Investors upcoming raise or the fund, or if you want to talk about the sort of referral partner opportunities or the channel partner opportunities or master license even, love to have discussions with you about that. So simply just reply to my email and we'll set up a time to have a discussion. I'm a big fan of utilizing December and early January for strategic initiatives, which is hence why I'm doing this session now. And, said from my side, 2024, and I think 2024 and 2025, if you think about how frustrating and painful and challenging the last 2 years have been, whenever that comes back, and you can already see the signs of it, especially with the indications that being given that interest rates are going to be decreasing over the next sort of 12 to 24 months, it becomes a massive opportunity for us in the innovation ecosystem. And I said we will be helping. Obviously we'll be monetizing in various different directions, but we'll be endlessly thinking about how we can help our ecosystem, whether it be make money from investments or generate additional revenue opportunities from what we're actually doing. So everyone, thank you very much for joining our session. I'll put my details up here. So if you've got any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I see that there's already 2 people who already messaged something. Someone's asking if I can share my deck link. Yep, no problems. I'll share that. I'll share that with you, Steve. Is there any questions anyone would like to ask about some of those initiatives or some of our plans, or some of the other things that we may be on the fringes of what we're thinking? And apologies again for my sniffling. Thanks, Christian, for your message. Been a while since we spoke. All right. So there's no questions coming through, so I might just leave that there. Someone's put Q&A. So the channel part, it's effectively a license opportunity. So in the franchise, I'm going to dictate everything that you do, but it's effectively a license opportunity. So we hand over our IP as far as how we built the business, how we do business development, how we build our investor database, how we build our companies list, etc. And then we assist you in building a business out of that. Quite easy. So Peter's asked the question of I'm just going to answer live. How can you register to refer companies to WI? So actually inside CRIISP, you can actually refer companies directly to us inside of that. But actually, shortly going to be releasing a more sort of format. We've integrated a new CRM into the actual business. So we'll be releasing that. Sort of shortly. So I'll email you directly about that, Peter, as far as referring companies to WI. What is the target for the next capital raise? So I'll be mentioning more details about that in sort of mid-January, but happy to have a conversation with you early about it. Okay, so I'm getting a couple of questions about the referral part. So yeah, on the referral side, so what we realized when we launched a channel partner opportunity, there was lots of people said, look, I'd love to collaborate with you, but I said, I don't see that as being my core business, what I do, but I'm happy to refer lots of different people to you. So effectively, what I'm going to do is what we're doing as part of next year is creating a specific referral partner opportunity, which does sort of have its own sort of incentives and initiatives as part of it. So yeah, happy to provide you with some more details about that, Christian. Hey, Samuel. Yes, I remember. I remember us meeting and having our conversations. Perfect. Yes, do reach out to me about your new venture. All right, guys, if there's no more questions, what I'll do is I'll finish this up now. As I said, I will be sending out around the recording for this, but also, as I mentioned, I'll be sending out an email. It's my actual email address. It does look, it will have a bit of branding on it because I have to send it through our sort of CRM, but it is my email address. So simply reply to it and I can set up a time to chat, whether it be about Emergence, whether it be about sort of WI and our upcoming capital raise, or whether it be about the sort of channel partner or referral partner opportunities or the master license opportunity. Happy to have a discussion with you on that. I said, I love December and January for setting up the strategic initiatives. All right, everyone. Thank you again for joining. I really appreciate you taking the time to sort of learn about what we're doing over the next sort of 12 months, and look forward to continuing the discussion with you. Thank you.